So the ink's barely dry on the report, and the Lincoln Project already out with a new ad slamming the president. Joining us now to talk more about this, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, retired from the U.S. Army, also a former congressman and the CEO and president of the Hope Center. Colonel West, great to see you.
Good to be with you, John, and happy Independence Day coming up here.
I'm trying not to get too excited yet. America's birthday is my favorite birthday of the year to celebrate. There'll be lots of fireworks at my house. Don't tell anybody. But, Colonel West, we're going to talk about this situation here now with these alleged Russian bounties. And, you know, when you look at the reporting on this, the White House seems to have a big issue with the leaks coming from the intelligence community. This has been an ongoing problem in this administration here. Do you see this as damaging as the National Security Advisor and the White House press secretary seem to think it is?
No, I don't see it as damaging as people are trying to make it out to be. And furthermore, I think that this is really a continuation of this Russian collusion hoax, and that for whatever reason, President Trump is very friendly and cozy with the Russians when we know the ground truth to be completely different. And to go back to that little commercial blip that you just played, where were these voices when President Barack Obama canceled the ballistic missile defense shield with Poland in response to a Russian threat? Where was this commercial ad of this organization when, after the paramilitary invasion of Ukraine, President Obama sent socks and MREs? You know, it's been President Trump who sent anti-tank missile systems. He deployed A-10 weapon systems. He also has increased the deployments and the cooperation between our military, especially our special operations forces, with the Ukrainian military and also with the Baltic states, Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania. But yet we don't hear people saying anything about that. So I think this is once again another cheap shot that you see the progressive socialist left hurling toward President Trump, continuing this narrative of being friendly with Russia.
And if I'm not mistaken, too, the administration just announced they're going to send more troops from Germany into Poland, and that obviously isn't something that the Russians want. Now, let's talk about China a little bit as well and what's going on in Hong Kong now with Hong Kong police firing water cannons and tear gas on protesters, arresting folks for the first time under this new national security law. Here is the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, talking about this situation earlier today.
The United States is deeply concerned about the law's sweeping provisions and the safety of everyone living in the territory, including Americans. Article 38 of the new law also purports to apply to offenses committed outside of Hong Kong by non-residents of Hong Kong, and this likely includes Americans. This is outrageous and an affront to all nations.
So we've got the situation with Russia. We also have a situation with China, and they show no signs of slowing down as they tighten their grip on Hong Kong. What is it going to take from the United States or other nations to put a stop to this? This is specifically what China promised not to do when they took over control of Hong Kong 23 years ago.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. What we find is that China, the Communist Party there, is in complete violation of the agreement that they reached with the United Kingdom, with Britain. It was supposed to be a 50-year agreement as far as the transition of Hong Kong. And so when you look at what we really should be focused on, what is really a national security concern, is the belligerence, is the obtuse nature, is the violation of human rights of the Chinese Communist Party. Without a doubt, we have to start looking at that most favored trade nation status that China has, and we need to revoke that status. The fact that you just had the Federal Communications Commission come out yesterday, the FCC, and say that ZTE and Huawei, both of which have headquarters right here, not too far away from where I sit in Plano, Texas, in North Texas, they are a threat to our national security. So I think it is a very imperative move for us to start looking at how we get ZTE and Huawei and other of these Chinese interests of the Communist Party out of the United States of America. And then we have to start increasing our military deterrent capability and capacity. We need to build better relationships, I think, with countries like Vietnam. And I don't understand why, to this point, we still have not said to the Chinese Communist Party, we're not going to be threatened and intimidated. We're going to open up talks with Taiwan.
Yeah, we should do more of that as well, and whatever it takes, because the situation in Hong Kong continues to deteriorate. We're also learning more, Colonel West, about the Black Lives Matter movement, and so is the English Premier League, the soccer league in the UK. They said they initially recognized the importance of the message, quote, Black Lives Matter. They were the first kind of major sports league to do so. Quote, we do not endorse any political organization or movement. That's what they're saying now, nor support any group that calls for violence or condones illegal activity. We are aware of the risk posed by groups that seek to hijack popular causes and campaigns to promote their own political views. Now, this comes after The UK arm of the movement called for the complete defunding of the police and pledged support for Palestine. Also, the EPL says they will keep the Black Lives Matter badges on the players for the remainder of the season. But this goes to show you, Colonel West, we don't know really what Black Lives Matter encompasses. We don't know the full reach of this organization. And for sports leagues like the EPL to jump on this bandwagon too soon, they're now learning the dangers of doing so.
You're absolutely right. And I would just challenge the EPL and anyone else to go to the Black Lives Matter website. You know, it was a couple of weeks ago, I wrote an op-ed piece that was called A Black Man's Letter to Black Lives Matter. This organization is not concerned with any of the pressing issues that are affecting the black community, the urban population centers. When you look at what they stand for, you know, they believe that the traditional two-parent nuclear family is a representation of white supremacy. And I will tell you that the breakdown, the decimation of the traditional nuclear family in the black community has led to some of the horrific conditions that we see. When I was born, the two-parent household was 77%. It's 24% today. So we know that 2 of the 3 leaders that founded Black Lives Matter have come out and said that they were avowed trained Marxists. We know that much of the money that they have raised, over $460 million, are being funneled to Democrat causes, Act Blue, for instance. So I just think that we need to do our due diligence, and we need to understand that this is a organization that is political and Marxist in its philosophy, but yet they have taken a title that really tries to put people on the defense and tries to intimidate and coerce people.
And speaking of people on the defense now, we'll talk about this couple in St. Louis. A prosecutor there is now investigating the couple, the McCloskeys, and accusing them of, quote, violent assault. Here's Circuit Attorney Kimberly Gardner, quote, I am alarmed at the events that occurred over the weekend where peaceful protesters, she calls them peaceful protesters, were met by guns in a violent assault. Now, this video, of course, has gone everywhere. We've seen the McCloskeys out there. This is Mark McCloskey yesterday with Chris Cuomo on CNN.
How do you feel about becoming the face of political resistance to the Black Lives Matter movement?
First of all, that's a completely ridiculous statement. I'm not the face of anything opposing the Black Lives Matter movement. I was a person scared for my life who was protecting my wife, my home, my hearth, my livelihood. I was a victim of a mob that came through the gate.
Now, the McCloskeys have been just raked by a lot of the mainstream media. I'm surprised they even went on Chris Cuomo's show last night because they knew they weren't going to get a fair hearing. But I think, you know, as we get more facts here, what do you think about this prosecutor trying to go after this couple, Colonel West?
Well, it just shows that there are people who don't stand for the rule of law, individual rights, freedoms, and also their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, their property, as opposed to the cowering and the appeasement of the mob. Remember that we had the mayor in Seattle that said the whole autonomous zone was about a summer festival, and it was about, you know, a peaceful, festive moment. And now she has ordered the police to go down and eradicate that autonomous zone. Black Lives Matter is not some peaceful organization. It is a Marxist organization, and if you understand Marxism, realize that fear, intimidation, coercion, and ultimately violence are the means by which they advance their ideological agenda, and that's exactly what you see happening here.
Yeah, look no further than Seattle and what we saw over the last 3 weeks for a case study on what Marxism is. Colonel West, great to see you as always, sir. And you look like you're doing much better after that motorcycle accident. Glad to see you're on the move.
Yeah. I just got to, you know, get the shoulder back going. It'll be maybe a month and a half before I can get back to doing push-ups, but I'm healing okay.
All right. Well, when you're ready to go scuba diving, give me a call.
I'll be ready, man.
All right, Colonel West, thanks so much.